I'm just going to give a quick intro about who I am when everybody settles down. So my name is Louisa. I'm one of the co-founders at CommunityOne. Historically, we have been building a lot of data analytics tools specifically for Discord. I think we have probably the best analytics out there. We are all engineers, so from the data-driven point of view. And about 6 months ago, we started to realize there is a problem of community engagement specifically on Discord. Oh, it has been a problem for a long time, right? People don't chat, people don't know how to chat, they say GM, or they tried to talk, but they couldn't. And we noticed that a lot of community managers couldn't really ramp up the quality of the conversation, which is an extremely difficult problem, or even get people to chat, right? So we started to think about how to do this thing from the end user point of view to make it fun for them to join the community, to make it interesting, to make them stay longer, to make them make friends. So in a way, we started to build community product on the consumer side, and because we were very strong in terms of community analytics, and also we just track everything, there's really interesting kind of insights. I'd love to share it with you guys. But before I start, I would love to see how many of you are founders. Okay, so I personally is a founder. I am technical and I'm on the product side. So I think how many of them are product managers? Okay. Engineers? Okay, but you're responsible for part of it, but not the whole thing, right? So I'm a founder, so I think this will be interesting because I do look at it from a macro point of view on what needs to get done. What is the next thing that is not local optimizations, but what's the bigger trend that needs to be done, and how to balance between these two, because any organization will have limited resource. Let me show you what we actually do, because I think that will make a lot of sense. Okay, so this is the feature that we did. It looks exactly like Duolingo on the Discord side. So user run /quest, that's the only thing they will ever need to learn, and they will see kind of like this. Right now we are doing Discord specific quests, so I can talk about design and all those things. We automatically track how well they're doing it. If they say GN, how are you? Or they really try to chat, but really not talking about anything, we give them little points, and then we teach them what they need to actually talk about, and then we see how well they're improving in terms of talking like a human being. So that's kind of the UI. That's kind of our B2C product side. Okay. In terms of the impact, so for us, we see roughly about 400 to 500 million, 500,000 data points every single day. That's through our analytics. Some people use our hype engine or not. But this particular feature, because we do community tools, right? So for us, we want the server to win, to kind of get more engagement. So all of our KPI on the client's perspective is their engagement data. So we do 4 times more message on average. It's about 50 to 20 times more. 50% to 20 times more. On average, member chat about 20 message per member. Roughly, you do a minute, 2 minutes per message. So that's roughly 40 minutes spent in your community. We have a 40% adoption rate within 3 weeks. That's on our average. Retention rate is 25 to 30% for 4 weeks. So that is compared to 0.5% or 6.5% on average. So one of the problems with Web3 is that you do give away. You give a lot of money, they come in, they chat, the giveaway is over, and then nothing happened. Right? So usually the best community does about 20% 7-day retention, 50% 7-day retention, right? So if you look at the 4-month data, we're doing roughly 4 or 5 times more retention. And the best part is that nobody gets token. That is not they're not doing this because they want the money. Okay, so some of the things we want to share. First is pre-testing. So we are assuming that you have a product, at least you want people to test. Things, maybe you have a Discord. You might have a Discord, might have a Twitter, might have a Telegram, or a forum. Some people use forum for it, right? Second part is about testing and feedback. How do you ask people for feedback, and how do you systematically invite your users to test different stuff? And the third part about the product. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. At any point, if anybody has any question, just raise your hand. Okay. Okay, so this is specifically related to your community, right? You might work in the bigger organizations, and there's 500,000 people on Twitter or on Discord, because we work so specifically with Discord. So first thing you need to know is that you should assume that nobody knows what the heck you actually is doing, especially when you have a really big community. They're probably coming for their job. So there is a process where you needed to do this onboarding process to the users. And before you even ask them to do something that's the assumptions. It's a safe assumption, unless you've never done any giveaway and people come in because they need support from Discord. That would be that's our case, in our server. So just quick things. So on the Discord side, because we're a Discord specialist, UI, UX is really important. Right? You needed to educate people what are you? You make it into read channels, chunk by paragraph about who you are and what you do. If there's any call to actions that you want, you put it there. But 50 words per paragraph per channels, right? Just make it really easy for people. Okay, so how do you educate a member and actually make them care? Because they really will not care after the airdrop is over. So this is a thing that we see, like making an announcement is probably the most important thing you can do. So it depends on the projects. So some people will have a community manager that is completely away from the product side. They don't know what the heck is going on, so of course they cannot make an announcement that's related to product, right? Second thing is that if you are, so there's this like building public thing, you talk about the progress. I would say like Discord is less mild, less extreme version of that. I don't know how much I believe in complete transparency, right? But if you structure your team in terms of sprint, like every 2-3 weeks you push out something of a bigger thing, but you pushed it out, right? And then you have something who's very related to a product to talk about the announcement, it will make a huge difference in your server. So the best example I have ever seen is this company called Rabbit. They do like AI little tool. The product is shit, probably. It's like an iPhone wannabe, but they sold out every single batch. And most importantly, there are developers who will hack their OS system so that they can start building right now. I think that's code-like. And they have some of the best announcements, and it's a PM that actually make announcement on Discord, right? People wanted to see that you're building stuff, right? Okay, so there's a question about, okay, if you have a Discord, and yeah, a question?
Sorry for interjecting, just on the points of announcements, are there particular types of announcements that you noticed get a massive amount of engagement versus just general building in public updates?
The kind that got the most engagement is the giveaway type, right? But is that I don't know if that's the kind of like the right thing you want people to do, right? So on average, on the Discord side, you will get 4 times more visitors on your announcement channel versus all the other channels combined. People would look at your announcement to decide what kind of a project you are and whether they should care about it. So for example, one of our clients is VLayer, and they would do, a lot of people come in because they were speculating token and all those things, right? But they would do extremely specific technical product announcement. They do like CK Tech. What is those announcements, like nobody could understand them. But the whole point is that the developers would understand, and that's who you want to speak with. And if you have the developers, which they want to kind of, that's their real audience, right? And everybody else will be like, wow, this is so sophisticated. I like this project, they're working hard. That's kind of like the impression that you want them to get. So about having the technical, like if you want your server to be, or community about like giving you feedback, kind of like customer support, and then on the other side, you will have situations where it's more social driven, right? People just chit-chatting. The question is that why do you even want a server that's chit-chatting, why they're not using your product, not giving you feedback about the product? The reason is, I think it's a very Web3 thing. The reason is because if they don't find your server or your community to be nice, they wouldn't spend the time doing anything. That's first. Second is that your people give incentive to do testnet, there's a leaderboard. All of those only make sense in the social settings. If they care about their friends being on number 2, that's make it a lot easier for them to try harder. So that's why I think it's an extremely Web3 thing that, especially if you do a lot of giveaway, you need to have a strong socially engaged community before you can convert them into testing and feedback. Okay, so you should introduce your product in a friendly way. So this is one of the things we noticed. So we wanted to ask people who have server to install our bot, right? Because that's what we do. And I can get their data. I can take a look and just say, okay, they have a server. There's like 500 people in the server. Maybe good enough. But am I gonna just go there? You go install my thing. We tried that. 20% of them will ever click. And one of the things that we do is survey. We say, okay, what are the problems that you're facing? Here's what we do. Okay, maybe so we basically. We look at it from the point of view of a problem, right? Is this the problem that you have? Like, what are you working on, right? So when we have those information, we are basically soft-introducing our product, our benefit to the people that matters, and then it doesn't feel like very salesy, right? There is an onboarding process, and for us, we think survey is like the most powerful thing that you can have because it's so easy, and it makes people feel like it's about them, so you have a better relationship with the users.
So with these surveys, so you're not like doing anything different based on the answers to your surveys. You're basically just taking, instead of like, oh, hey, you should try out this product, it's like you're just asking them about them, and like
yes.
Then you just make the same call to everybody regardless?
No, right. So if we see like, okay, like you wanted to grow. Have you looked at this feature? Like this is like what we do. And then when we see like they have really strong engagement in the community, they've been active for like a couple of days, like they checked our announcement channels, so we just assume they check our announcement channel. Would you like to try this? Right, so that will be pushed out at another quest. And then we would test it again to see if they tried it. Okay, they didn't try it like 3 times later, a week later. We'll be like, okay, like the next best thing you should ask the user, like, why? Why are you not trying it? Of course, I'm not gonna tell you why you're not trying it. So we make it a quest, was like, just tell me why you're not trying it. I'm gonna give you the same amount of points, because like it's on me that you didn't try it at this point, right? Yeah, that's kind of how we do it.
Excuse me. Is this an entrance survey?
No, survey is it's a mid-level ask, because you are assuming that the user knows something about you. So we only surface to user when they have like they interacted with other human being entities. The other thing that we do survey is that we don't ask them if they want to do a survey. Nobody wants to do a survey. We're just like, here, just like click. When they click on it, we're like, yeah, they already made progress. Right? It's a consumer psychology. Like if they see they make progress on something, they are far more likely to finish the complete thing.
And is this web-based or is this in Discord?
This is in Discord.
Okay.
Because we don't want them to be outside of your platform, right?
So will this survey place at announcement?
No, so this is actually super interesting. One of the best engaged tool on Discord is basically survey. You can do a poll on the announcement channels and people are like so curious, they will click on it. But this is a custom thing, right? Because for example, in your community, you have the developers, the people who are truly interested in your product, and the crypto degen people, right? You don't want to push this to crypto degen. They'll be like bored. Right, so you need to, like we do know some users will have more potential than other users to give us really good feedback. Or like this is a feature for server owner, this is a feature for players. And then we do push that selectively. Like that's a customization and data-driven approach, right? But they don't know that. Okay, so about reward. So one of the things that we see people do is that they will reward you for testing. I would say don't do that with cash, absolutely no, because you kind of create a very bad relationship with your users. You wanted to kind of like give them, it's almost like reward is something related to, it's a relationship development thing, right? You want them to feel like they have earned it really hard. So they first give you some feedback, you give them the benefits, such as a different role, or they got into kind of like early alpha testing, they give you more feedback, you give them, in our case, we give them points, right? Like this is really good, I really like it, to encourage this behavior. But I would say no cash. You want to give them exclusive access to something. Just wait as long as you can about the cash part. Okay, what we learned about members, this is really interesting. Okay, so first, members are extremely fickle. If they don't know anything, they bounce. Like right away, they don't even try. Okay, so this is data that we have on our Hive engine, and the blue and the green one, we basically look at what percentage of user completed 0 quest. So they run /quest, they didn't do anything. They didn't even claim the point that belongs to them, right? Like why? Because they're afraid to click on that point. They're afraid to click on that button. They thought like everybody else is going to see it. So we change the instruction. We basically make our logo animated. And then we say this is just for you, right? So we make it obvious to the user that this is a private thing that they can do on their own. And then we basically have, I love the other side. Yeah, we basically dropped about 30% to 15%. So people actually do start to, the first step is basically to click, right? So all we did is change the word, yeah. Second thing is that when they see something really hard, they bounce, like they don't even try. So we, at the very beginning, we give everybody 3 quests. And sometimes a new user will get a quest called send your first message. It is so easy. They probably already sent a message. All they have to do is claim the point, right? But sometimes we don't see them to claim it. Why? So then we changed it. We changed it for the first user. They will do 2 quests, only 2 quests. And they will always get a quest called send your first message. And most of the time that bar is already filled, so your progress is already done, they clicked on it. We see a 28% increase rate in terms of participation. And not only that, when they complete the quest, right, they completed that 1 quest, they claim the point, most of them will continue to complete the 2nd quest. So when they feel like, okay, they can do this, they're like, just 1 more thing, they're like, done for the day, so nice. Right, they will do it. So you have a drastic increase in terms of completion rate. Yeah.
Did you have active use cases for the points when you were doing this? Like when you're rewarding points, do you need front-end active use cases for the points?
We just, actually, at the very beginning, we just tell them there's a raffle ticket for it.
Yeah.
If that's what you mean. Yes. But I would say
Like a raffle ticket to unlock
yes.
some cash prize or NFT or something?
No, the raffle ticket is for Discord Basic Nitro and for Steam credit. Both of them are $3, and I don't believe any of them can be transferable. You can transfer Basic Nitro, but it expires in about 48 hours. And for Steam, you cannot do this systematically. There's very interesting data that we have about raffles, which I can talk about later. But yeah.
So on this, so when you have two quests, the first quest is basically you just get points for clicking on the button, and then the second one is for sending a message?
No, the first quest is always send your first message, right? So it looks like a quest, it looks like a thing that you have to do, but by the time you do /quest, you probably already sent your first message. So it feels like you've already done this work and it's actual work. So all you have to do is click and claim, and people like it. People feel like this is work. They somehow cheated and already done it, and then they just wanted to finish the whole thing because it's so nice when you finish everything.
So what point would you introduce the questing system, like into their, like when they first join, or?
Yes, so that's also very interesting. I would say some users are very natural. They just love it. They love on the leaderboard. There's this group of users. Some users will never try it, ever, because they were like, I don't like quests, I'm not a gamer. We do very deliberate things, right? So if you /quest is a relatively high level because they need to do / and then QESTs. So we have this feature, it's an intro feature called a fortune cat. So a super fan, when they finish all the quests, they can launch a fortune cat. And there's 4 fortunes that you can claim, and the cat looks very cute. So sometimes we have people who never do quests, always go back to click on the fortune because it's funny. Right, so if we cannot get this user to slash something, manually do something, then we want to introduce this feature to them in a very friendly way that is so low-hanging fruit, you click and you feel good about it. Yeah, but ideally we want them to do it all the time, right? That never happened. Okay, yeah, that's the part about like, yeah, 70% will go on to complete most of the quests. And in fact, our retention rate is about 85% if you have more than 5 points. So if you finish 2 quests, next week you're gonna come back. We reset our leaderboard every single week, and they will come back. Yeah. Okay. Something about Discord that's some community or some sort of building public is that if their friends think you're not cool, you're done. Like they wouldn't even try. Like if you're talking about something, you're like, oh, do this. One of the guy was like, scam. That's it. You lost like the whole group. Like don't even bother. That's just the power of the community, right? People don't really do their research, especially if it's coming from another member. But the opposite could be true, right? So that's the power of the community. Like if you see everybody is doing this thing, you're like, it's not for me, but everybody is doing it. So you're gonna try harder, right? That's kind of like the social pressure for you to try. So it goes like really both ways, and that's kind of like it's a double-edged sword. But usually you got the benefit of it. Okay, and the best kind of user, so you're gonna have different people, different testers. The best kind is the one that's very skeptical about you. So we look at the data from Rabbit, that community. They have members that has been active every single day for 1.5 years since they first got their Discord. And the member that's still active today, they are skeptics. They are like, this is not gonna work, how are you gonna solve this? And they pretended they are like AI expert, and people would answer their questions. Like, it's an opportunity to convert somebody to be kind of like a true believer on that side. Okay. So about referral, I think somebody was talking about referral, asking people to invite other people. I said don't, absolutely don't. And here's our data. Okay, so we have a quest. One of our hardest quests is complete all daily quest. That basically means you have to spend 15 minutes to complete all the quests for the day. And we have a completion rate of 40%, 38%. Right, you know, it's hard, right? You have to do like 3 + 1 quest. And then we have a quest called Fortune Encounter. So the idea here is that we give you a fortune, and it says that if you talk to this user, you're gonna get double the points. Maybe some lucky thing is gonna happen, right? So we are basically asking one user on our server, a super fan at this point, to talk to a new user. And that completion rate is 26%. It's our worst performance thing ever. We're actually gonna remove it. The reason is because it uses social capital of this user, right? He doesn't know this user, he has to like talk to this user, it's just awkward. Like, what do I talk about? It just feels so forced. And that's not a natural way to do it, right? That's basically asking people to spend their social capitals. We see data, for example, you want the people to invite other people or refer to other people, right? First of all, with Web3, it's very specific because you're gonna have a ton of bots. We have projects that never did any Zilli campaign filled with bots, like because of this program. Invite friends. Yeah, so don't force them to talk to strangers, like they will do this naturally for you in a very organic way if you do this right. Okay. So, like, how do you do this, right? We're gonna go over a case study of this trading card game that does absolutely no marketing and was extremely popular on Discord. But the idea here is that you do something really cool that they wanted to show other users, or you make them develop something like so that it's their baby and they will share it without asking, right? You can just not ask people to like send a text message. It needs to be something cool because you're spending their capital to do it. And that can be built into the product. Okay, and finally, when you see, it doesn't matter, like because people have this conception, you need to have like a really big community. It has no relation with like your actual product usage in the Web3 space because there's just too much bot. But one of the signs you should look out for when you have a strong community is basically people helping each other out. They will help each other out in technical questions. That's the only sign you look for. Okay, about questions so far. Okay, about testing. So there are two different ways of doing testing. So one is structured testing. So testnet is a structured case because there's a period of time you're doing this, you want people to test. So structured testing. Most normal product is not structured, right? You have different stakeholders, different people, they test coming, they just use your product, they're not even testing and they give you feedback. But Web3 is specific, so structured testing. You want to make it really easy to start. Remember, there's an onboarding process for the users. Second is that you should break tasks into bite size. So make it easy. So for example, right, user, if you think this testing, a real user should spend 20 minutes doing this test, you should break it down so that they can spend 5 minutes doing it every day and come back to resume it. Because like I did testing for our internal product, my CTO will be like complaining why I'm not spending enough time on it. Yeah, you can blame me for that. And then the third thing is that you needed to have means to retarget those users that falls off. Maybe they don't did like step 2 of the testing. Make them come back in some way. You know, you need a means to retarget users. Okay, I'll give you one good case. So one of the products that use us is called Beamaverse, and they are a wallet for Bitcoin, I think. They were launching on testnet, and they have very specific ideas about how they want users to test. So they made their own Quest platform saying that do this test first, do that test first, do the third test. Right, and they would track, okay, which Discord user did this test, and they would give them different roles. So that's a very systematic way to get somebody to test and to also track. We do automated software. We're developing automated software for this process as well. Yeah, unstructured test. So our product is more like unstructured test because we are not on hand yet, right? So you want to make sure like whatever platform you use, I think Discord is one of the best platforms out there. You want it to be everywhere in the testing process. If something has a problem, you want to show that logo off Discord, right? You want to make sure like you want to get every users to be in that group. So it needs to be integrated. The second thing is that your Discord will look slightly different because if you have different holders. So for us, we have the server owners and then we have the players. And these two do not like talk to each other, right? So we need to basically tell them this is where they can go to get this particular, to post this particular feedback for us. You may have to make it clear for the user, otherwise you lose them. Yeah, that's the unstructured part. Okay, so extremely difficult task. So first, the more thinking you do in terms of the user experience, the easier it is going to be for the user. And you're gonna have hard tests. What's a hard test? Like deposit 5 actual US dollars into your wallet, stake it for 2 months. Those are hard tests, right? You do not show hard tests to new users because they'll be like, you're so salesy and pushy, just go away. I don't want to like you anymore. So, but they are really good for super fan, people who really like you, and they think about this as a challenge. So this is our data. Right, so we have a quest called Engage in Live Discussion. We use AI to track the quality of the conversation, so it's not easy to just GMG your way out of this one. And then we have about 39% conversion complete rate. So this is one of our lowest, but we keep it. But the same user, after they finish the daily quest, we give them bonus quest. And then we have a quest called Keep the Flow Chat Flowing. That quest is 3 times harder. It requires basically a lot more quality and a lot more message spent. We have a completion rate of 57%. So you don't, right? So like we want people to do this, but we didn't say we're gonna ask you to do this. We gave you that version, you pass the test, You give like the truly hard one to the hardcore people, and they feel like they've earned it. They feel like it's a privilege to do this because I can get extra points for this one. Yeah, so that's the data you see here. Question? Yes.
When do you classify someone as, what's that threshold?
So for us, it's quite easy, right? Because if you finish 3 quests, 3 days, you spend a good solid amount of, let's see, we do like about 10 to 15 minutes, so like 45 at least, like an hour already, like actively engaging. Active engagement is very different from passive engagement, right? So that's for us is our definition. It could be that somebody who has completed all your previous, the behavior on your website or whatever on wallet is that they do this very consistently. So there are 2 things, like days. Days matters, and the magnitude, right? Some magnitude, but a lot of days. Days is the one that really develop user habit, and that's what you need to see. Okay, about questions? Okay, about feedback. Most people are afraid to give you feedback. They're just gonna like, yeah, good, right? Like you need to be like, don't say, what do you think? Because they're not gonna tell you. Okay, polling. I think polling is a great way to start, right? That means like you have some idea about what you want people to talk about. What happened with Discord is that it has a really good UI. They do have a button that you can see the results without doing the polling, but it's so like obsolete, nobody sees it, so everybody wants to see the results. So polling is a good way to start getting people engaged. You should think about polling as, yeah, both like marketing, but actually getting user feedback, which is what you want to do. Okay, so this is a true story with us. We started to push B2C product, right? We started to push some configuration dashboard. In fact, it's a B2B product. And then we're like, oh, give us some feedback. Nobody does it. And one day, somebody did it. And I was like, wow, this is great. It was like it was an easy bug to fix, right? Like, wow, this is great. 50 points for you. You can buy like 2 raffle tickets. This person has never played Quest in his entire life. He was like, oh, so how do I get the tickets and all those things, right? But what happened is that everybody else saw it. And then the feedback itself is okay, right? So they start giving more and more feedback. So like you absolutely have to go out of your way to encourage the first feedback, regardless of whether it's good or not. And for us, we basically give points to them. Yeah.
So, quick question. I mean, I don't know if it is related to this, but you have like on the product, we have a lot of people coming. It's not translating to the community.
Yeah.
What do you think is that gap?
Yes.
And how can, because we want it the other way usually. Community is usually larger than the user.
Yes. What do you have kind of like section play about what they do? Your community, do they like bounce on your website? Do they bounce right away? Or they try to click like 5 buttons, it didn't work, then they bounce? Do you know the kind of engagement that you have?
Yeah, they basically, so we're just doing a lot of campaigns to basically get you on the website. We have like an extension on VS Code.
Yeah.
That's where people are coming. They download it, they check out some stuff, and then they just put it.
They checked it out. How do they check it out? Scroll or they click on something?
There's a sign up button. You sign up and then
They signed up already.
Yeah.
Okay.
They sign up with GitHub, so basically they're basically connected.
Okay.
To the
They're
account.
really, okay.
Right. And then.
Did they try to use?
So they do one prompt, like it's an AI
I see.
thing. So, but then we have bounties on it as well.
Yeah.
Right. And what we really want is that through the extension, it's a VS Code extension for developers.
Yeah.
That actually rewards you if you complete.
Okay.
Right. So we have bounties on the extension itself,
Yeah.
and there's AI over there that helps you finish those bounties.
Yes.
So it's completely there, but no one's actually like a lot of people see the bounties.
Yes, email. Email, like what's the latest bounty they can do? Because this means that you have some casual engagement, but they actually have to look at the code base, clone something, look into it. You're asking extremely high engagement here. Right, email. Like if you don't get them on Discord, get them on email.
Yeah.
And people are thinking about your Discord as a thing for support. Right. Another thing you can do is that, not sure what you should do. Check out our Discord to see what other people are doing. So you don't make it support feels like. Also, the other thing about bounties is that it depends on your users. Some users are very new. They're new developers who are looking for open source projects that they can contribute, and they actually don't know much, right? So if that's your audience, then the Discord could be like, in the work class, something like that, office hours, right? So make it a social thing rather than, because people automatically assume you're with a support thing. But if you're like really seasoned users, like we're looking for expert who needs help with our like new developer members, right? You can have ways to get them in. Okay. This is important. If somebody says something really nonsense, don't dismiss it first, because I think they're seeing the problem that you're not seeing. So this is a perfect example. This lady told me that this is nonsense. Like I was like trying to explain how this feature works. She's like, I already know how this feature works. Like you should not have this. I was like, but this looks so pretty. You know, like I just completely dismissed it until I go to the mobile version. And on the mobile version, because those cards are so big, what happens is that you need to scroll twice in order to get to this button, which is called Browse Server, right? So I lose the user, for over 50% of them already there. So the new one, I didn't completely dismiss my thing. I made it collapsible, and I put the bottom on top. And we actually get about 10% increase when we put it on top, right? So there's things that would not make sense. So the other very often happen, somebody will be like, I don't know how to do this. And then on the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you're stupid. Like, this is so obvious. But you have like 3-4 people telling you the exact same thing. You cannot dismiss it. You change the wording. Right? And that's how you kind of improve it. Okay, if you have really cool people giving you feedback, you wanted to, and you can kind of instantly respond to them, do it. Instantly do the changes. So this is a really trivial suggestions, basically asking us to put a pet channel on our community. I was like, why not? So I just did it right away. And then the next day we have a lot of activities on it, right? Like you want to delight user with your responsiveness in some way. But on the other side, you do not need to act clearly on the feedback. I've seen, I think we are kind of always feeling pressure to respond to all the user. This is a community called Banana. They basically do a click image. You can collect banana by clicking it. It is not an NFT project and it's extremely stupid. But they have about 500,000 people playing every single day. So what they do is that people will give all sorts of different feedback. And then they use this bot to tell you whether they reject or they accept it, they're gonna push it at this time, or they considered it. So they basically responded to all the feedback. There's teams give feedback, there's developer give feedback, right? They use this method to do it. So it's quite good. Okay, so the most valuable kind of feedback in our point of view is people are not giving you feedback, people are telling you their problems. So for example, right, one of our problems is that sometimes we will collab, we will do a collaboration with another Discord server, and that Discord server is completely dead. So if I bring my user to that server, nothing is happening, nobody is chatting with them, so they cannot earn points, right? So then we are going to kind of have a new feature called Raid, where you can have friends come into the server at this time and talk. And then we were collaborating with the moderators to welcome them and fun have some activity happening. Right? But we didn't get this idea because somebody told me we should do a raid. We had this idea because somebody was like, I can get points there. So the best feedback you will ever get is somebody goes I cannot do this because they're thinking about themselves and they're actually using your product. And it's the best kind of feedback, right? Because it's actually coming from their point of view. They don't try to impose something on top of you. Okay, questions? Anything? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I have. Sorry.
Yes.
So 2 slides back, when it had the feedback page, so 1 slide back more. Sorry. This would come up on a suggestions page in Discord, or does this pop up when, let's say, someone's just complaining in the general, and then the AI can flag it? Because this is crazy. Because it shows that we're paying attention and considered, and I'll say considered to even the dumbest things because they'll feel special, oh, they actually thought about me.
It depends.
And,
so if you have a ton of crypto degen out there, have a forum because that will make it significantly harder for them to post something stupid. Yeah. And so you have more valuable signal to noise ratios in that case. If you're really small, whatever user want to do, right? The other thing that I do at the very beginning is people would DM me. People always DM me and telling me to do this and this and that. Sometimes they would do paragraphs of this and this and that. And I would go, oh, I'm gonna post this, I'm summarizing this and post it on our forum so that everybody else can see it, including the rest of my team, right? So then it kind of developed the habit of putting it on the forum. So that's a deliberate action that I want user to develop, right? So I do that for them at the very beginning. You don't tell a user, go post it again, right?
I think early on you'd want it in a central location so people can see the team considering it. But when you have a small enough group on Discord, no one's gonna go down to that suggestions channel and check it.
About gamification, we know so much about this. This is a really, especially with Leaderboard, extremely difficult problems. Okay, so the gamification side is relatively easy, right? You've seen our bot, but the idea here, what is a game? A game is about feedback. I think this guy said, feedback is fun, right? Whatever user do, you want to acknowledge and you want to give them something in return. So in the gamification for us is basically have something to do and then reward something, right? So that's that's the feedback we give it to the user in different levels. Okay, leaderboard. So this is Duolingo. We do a ton of inspiration from Duolingo. They have one of the best thought mechanism out there. You ever can it's extremely I'm 300 days on it. Right? So we notice about 10% of your populations of member. So they have to be chatting first, right? They got some attention. They just chat casually, but they are there. About 10% of them will be extreme players. They just love this idea of leaderboard, and I don't know why they do it. It's one nitro. They love it. It's like something instinctive about a human being for a selective part of the users. Okay, the best practice to make leaderboard. First is that make it effort-based or make it skill-based. So sometimes you have situation you can buy, and then you can improve your rank, and then you're all of a sudden way above everybody else. You've ever wondered why games don't do that? Because it's extremely unfair for the other players, right? You can buy schemes, you can look pretty and all the other things. Fairness is so important for players. Make it effort-based. Make it fair, right? Sometimes if you had a bug, and we had it all the time. This one time we accidentally run double the amount of raffle ticket. We don't punish users. You don't punish users for the thing you do. If people spend more effort, they need to be treated better. That's just fair, right? And most important thing is that you want to make it reachable for the end user. So this is the other side of the problem that's extremely difficult to solve. So for example, right, if your product has been running for some time and you have top heavy, you have super users, we have a lot of them, right? How do you, if a new user come in, what do you think is gonna happen next? They're gonna look at the leaderboard, goes wow, I'm not doing this. Too hard, right? So you need to be able to have something for the new user to make them feel, they can do this, they are inspired, not deterred. And that's why in Duolingo, if any of you play Duolingo, there are camps, there are leagues, there's regions. So that makes every week feels reachable. Questions?
Well, I was just literally going to ask about that same thing about how to handle leaderboards, where it's, say if you're refreshing every click, how do you deal when you end the week?
Yes.
Then, that same kind of
Yes, it's a huge problem, and we have data for this. So we basically have zero growth after Thursday. There is no new players who would significantly play more than 5 points after Thursday because they look at this leaderboard and no thanks. Yeah, so we reset it every week. That's our frequency.
So for Duolingo, do they do it because I know they have different leagues.
Yes.
So you can climb the leagues, and then that's more power users. So then obviously the higher the league you are, the higher in the kind of grander scope of leaderboards, right? But then if you're just a new user, you're part of a smaller leaderboard amongst the new.
Yes, Duolingo is more tricky than this. They are so smart. So when you're new, you're in a league, I don't know the name of that league, but if you earn 800 points, you're number one. And for the same 800 points, you go to a different league, you're gonna get eliminated for that round, right? So they make it progressively harder for you to be number one, and they control that experiment for you. They control that experience for you. It's truly amazing what Duolingo does. We cannot do that in our product because everybody knows how much points everybody else makes, right? But if you can do this, it's a great idea. Okay, so another thing is about leaderboard. If you give people scores, you need to think hard about what you're giving them. If your number one player is someone you don't recognize, you don't like, why is it being number one? Something is seriously off. So I can give you one example from us, right? So we have people chatting, engaging socially. They're nice, but they're not using they're using my product actually, right? But they're not installing our bot, and they're not giving me valuable feedback. And then when we start doing the feedback thing, and I start manually rewarding users for giving me valuable feedback, what happened is that maybe the number one or number two are the people who not necessarily chat a lot, but really think a lot, and I know them because they really give me good ideas about the product. Then it's right? Then I kind of tilted the balance. You can be social, you can ask, you can help other people with the situation, but if you give me feedback, you're still number one, and I like that. Right? You should think about what rewards you should give it to people. How do people get the points, right? Grinding is usually not the answer. Unless you're doing token, and then it's 1 week before that, take it off. Carrot and stick. So going back to the original problem, somebody saying GM, we don't give them points because that's a low effort thing. But what if somebody goes how are you? The weather is really nice. What do you do, bro? They try, they make an effort, but they're still not talking about anything. So the choices are two, right? We can punish them, or we can encourage them to do more. And we did try to punish one, and we just lose them. we're just like, they're not playing anymore. It doesn't work. They say like our bot does not work. So when we did this thing, well, we give you points because you're trying. But then we say, here are the topics you can talk about. Here are the things you can ask about, right? You can learn about this. So you're teaching them to kind of get familiar with your product. And you're rewarding them for doing those. So all of a sudden, the carrots are much better than stick in this case. Especially when the user have like, yeah, the carrots and stick, right? So this is what we did, right? We tell people, here are some tips, here are the things you can say, and then you get extra points and try again tomorrow. Okay, questions?
Is that a custom bot that you use for that?
No, it's our own bot.
Yeah.
It's available for everyone. You can download it from our website. Okay, about product. This is like general advice about product that we've learned. First thing is that you just push. Like this is like, so we started working on the new version of Dashboard around December. Like this is my Git repo, my personal one. Not my personal one, but you know. Yeah, so I saw Christmas, you know, like I have like all those little things you have to do. And then I just push. And I push, I'm almost being forced to commit. That week I'm traveling. I'm almost like being forced to commit every single day because there are so many bug reports coming in, and I can know, most importantly, I can know what matters and what doesn't, which feature user are using at first, because then this is the one I'm focusing on. Like it just gives completely different kind of information. That should be obvious, right? The other thing is that every click is a 50% drop. If you're like, sometimes I look at a website, I need to click 4 times to get to a page, then I have to, before I understand what the heck is going on, no. Like if you can give the benefit to the user up front, do it. If they have to use a login, make it like 1 click, you know? Like this is, I got it from the internet, but I think the rate is roughly 50%. Every single actions that you want user to do to get to the destination. Okay, so tracking is so important. And I don't know if you guys know this guy called Nakita, something. This on X, on Reddit. He is one of the best consumer guy I've ever met. And it's a very similar idea. First, you think about what that user journey looks like. The second, he visits your site. Where you want him to click, what's the experience, what do you want him to look? Like they're not gonna look at everything. And then second, tracking steps. Okay, step 1, they do this. Step 2, they're supposed to do this. Step 3, they do just think about it, right? The more you think about it, the better. And then you track. You need to track every single steps. Like we use post hoc, we use the email log. We use a log system to track it as well, which is which event is happening, what the fall-off rate is. And then we see, okay, can we remove this complete, like this part completely, right? Like that's what you need to do, because then you can optimize. Okay, last point, I think this is the last point, is details matter so much for consumer product. Every single detail. Like for example, we have this like classical reply with a meme. People get very confused about what the heck is a meme. How can you get confused about what the heck is a meme? So then we change it to reply with a GIF. The reason is because on Discord, the bottom where you can find the GIF is called GIF, not meme. So people get confused. 35% increase when we change the word. Another example is we have a feature called Spark. What it does is that it automatically reply member questions when you submit documents or community documents. It's like a custom AI Q&A tool, right? And then we saw a lot of people download our bot 5 minutes later and install it. Like, why? And it turned out they see a little icon logo on our website that made it look like a premium feature, but it's not. It's like it's only premium, like after you do like 10 megabytes of text, which like almost never happened. But they were like, this is a scam, like this is premium, I'm out. Yeah, we basically reduced our uninstall rate within the first 5 minutes just by removing that logo. So like those are such low-hanging fruit. It's just deleting a code and make a huge difference. I think, so this is kind of like the micro, right? If you're doing a product and this product is kind of well established, you need to keep an eye on those things. But like if you're a small team, you have like all these other things that you need to build out, work on those first. Like we didn't work on those for a very long time. I don't know if I regret it, but we don't have people. About streak and developing the habit, again, Duolingo has one of the best examples out there. Different people use it very differently because we were looking at Duolingo forums. For me, and this is my personal one, 311 days when I did this, like, that's my pleasure. You know, my pleasure in life is to make this number go to 1,000. But some people look at this, which is a track record, like it has my freezing days and everything. So you give different way, like, so this is a gamification way of doing habit. Think about like at your product, can you do something like this? And how to make people share your thing, this is the best example out there. So Karuta is like a trading card game. You collect very stupid anime you make them look pretty, and then you share them. Sometimes you can make money out of them, but most people don't. The money is a virtue, they actually don't worth anything. But if you spend all these efforts collecting the cards that you want, and you already work so hard to make them look pretty, and you like added a background, you know, like work really hard for those things, you're sharing this with everybody. You're sharing this on Reddit, sharing this on Facebook, and yeah, that's how Karuta grow. Like, yes.
Is it a component where the user also has to basically put effort into something?
Yes, it makes a huge difference, right? If this is their own personal achievement, they love talking about themselves. Yes. That's why it's actually interesting because Meal Day is a competitor. They don't allow you to work on the card, and the sharing ratio is much lower. Okay, yeah, that's the story about Karuta. So Discord, I don't know, I think most of you are not very familiar with Discord, but Discord is so underrated in terms of a growth tool because there's a lot of virality built into Discord. And we look at this case study where it's basically one dev, $0, and they have about 500k DAU. It's called Karuta. This is the game. Yeah, that's the game. You basically collect animated cards and trade them and work at them, right? Okay. Yeah. Like, so this is the reason why Discord is popular. The games are social. People see it. Like in this case, so this is a UI for Karuta. There are like 3 cards. I can collect it and everybody else can collect it. So it's a social thing. It may or may not be relevant to your product, but like you can, like we basically grow very organically because we let everybody else see what we are doing. Another thing that's super cool about Discord is that like, you know, like how you're gonna install a bot, it's so much work. You gotta go to your website, blah, blah. For Discord, it's right click, add app, that's it. It's what, 2 click on the same platform, right? So, like for example, I made Journey originally grew on Discord, right? Because people invite their friends, and they did it for a long time, right? There's a reason why they're doing this. That's it. That's on Telegram. If anybody have a Discord, feel free to try our bot. We have 7 million users now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was an amazing presentation. Yeah, welcome to everybody who showed up. In about 30 minutes, we're going to have a kind of extended workshop with Coinbase Developer Platform. You learn how to build your first AI agent with On-Chain Kit. There's going to be a competition. It's an interactive workshop. So that's a really good one to stick around for. But for now, make yourself at home. We've got plenty of drinks in the fridge. Maybe we can get a pot of coffee going. So thanks for coming to the Flow Crypto Castle. Thanks all for being here.
Oh, yes.
I love how much in the conversion rates and things like that.
Thank you.
Is there any way I can get a copy of the presentation? I'd love to review it later.